Hello, my name is Najat. I specialize in Moroccan cuisine. Today we are going to prepare Chebakia. Chebakia is a traditional Moroccan sweet that is served during Ramadan alongside a bowl of harira soup. For the main ingredients, we will need all-purpose flour, sesame seeds, almonds, saffron threads, granulated sugar, mastic gum, vinegar, orange blossom water, olive oil, vegetable oil, melted butter, baking powder, ground cinnamon, salt, eggs, nutmeg, and anise. This is the initial texture of the anise seeds. However, after toasting them, then blending them, they turn into a powder. We will need vegetable oil for frying and honey to dip the chebakia. First, let's soak the saffron threads in orange blossom water. Mix together. Then set it aside to release its aroma. I will now turn on the heat to toast the sesame seeds. Make sure to not over-toast the sesame seeds at this point, as we will add them to the chebakia dough, then cook them again later. If you over-toast the sesame seeds now, the chebakia will have a burnt taste. Therefore, we will only warm the sesame seeds for a bit and then blend them. Now that the sesame seeds are ready, let's turn off the heat. Grab a food processor. Reserve a small amount of toasted sesame seeds for decoration and blend the rest. It's easier if you blend the sesame seeds while they are still hot. When they cool down, it becomes more difficult to blend them. Blend the toasted sesame seeds until they turn into a powder. Pour the ground sesame seeds into a bowl and set it aside. Let's now turn on the heat and toast the almonds. We will repeat the same technique as we did earlier. Toast the almonds for 3 minutes, then blend them. Blend the almonds into a powder. This is not the consistency we are looking for, so let's keep blending until we get there. The ground almonds turned into a powder. They are ready now. Let's crush the mastic gum. It's easier to crush the mastic gum when you add sugar. It is much harder to crush on its own. You can alternatively crush it using a blender. But here, since I only have a small quantity of mastic gum, I prefer to crush it with the back of a cup. Crush it until it turns into a powder. The mastic is now powdery. Let's make the dough. Pour the flour into the large plate. Then add the rest of the dry ingredients. Ground sesame seeds. Ground almonds. Ground anise. Ground cinnamon. Salt, crushed mastic gum, baking powder, I will also grate the nutmeg. Then mix the dry ingredients together. Mix well to get rid of any almond or sesame seeds clumps. The mixture should be homogeneous. Let's now add the wet ingredients. Make a well in the center of flour to pour the wet ingredients. Add the melted butter, vegetable oil, olive oil, the orange blossom water in which we diluted the saffron threads, egg yolk, vinegar, now mix to form a dough. If the dough is still dry at the end, we will add water. Combine the wet ingredients with the dry. Make sure to break apart any clumps. Now that the dough is properly mixed, I will sprinkle it with water, then knead it by hand. The chebkia dough needs to be stiff but pliable so that it is easy to shape. Now that we have kneaded the dough, we will cut it. Then shape the dough pieces into balls. Then we will set them aside to rest. Cover the dough with plastic wrap and leave it to rest for 10 minutes. Now that the dough is rested, let's roll it out. Use a rolling pin to help you spread the dough. Roll out the dough vertically, then horizontally. It's easier to roll the dough out when it's well rested. We do this step to ensure that the chebkia is perfectly layered, so it absorbs the honey easily. Fold the dough to form a rectangle. Set it aside to rest one more time. Then continue shaping all the remaining balls until you have used all the dough. Now that the dough has rested, let's cut it before layering it using the pasta machine. Do not cut the dough into large rectangles, as it will be challenging to shape them after. I adjust the machine to setting number 2. The dough is still not thin enough. Now let's switch to setting number 3 to achieve even finer layers. I am rotating the cutting board so I can put the flattened dough on it. I will now cut the dough into strips. To achieve this, you can either use a fluted pastry cutter or a pastry wheel. Use what you have. We use this edge of the pastry cutter to cut the dough. We need this cutter to ensure all the dough strips are equal in size. Apply pressure to the cutter to properly score the dough. Trim any excess dough. For the leftover dough, we gently discard it this way so we can easily reuse it later. Cut the strips using the pastry wheel. As it is much sharper. Let's now fold chebkia in the shape of a flower. Take a rectangle and thread your middle finger through alternating strips of dough. Open the strips with your fingers. Then weave your fingers inside the strips. Bring the corners together and apply pressure on them. I place it down on the board, then apply pressure on the sides. To obtain a crispy chebkia, I make sure to leave room between the strips on the inside. Repeat the same technique as we did with the first rectangle. To cut the chebkia strips, you can either use a pastry wheel or a knife. I will use the pastry wheel. We will cut the strips in this rectangle in the same manner as the previous rectangle. Cut the first strip, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. Then fold it into a flower shape the same way we did before. Now that all the chebkia is formed, let's fry it. Add oil to the pan. Enough oil to submerge the chebkia, otherwise it will burn. Turn on the heat. Now that the oil is hot, add the chebkia pieces. Chebakia doubles in size when it fries. Lower the heat to allow the chebakia to cook evenly. The chebakia is starting to double in size. Only flip the chebakia when it's halfway cooked. Otherwise, it will break apart. Now that the chebakia is brown on one side, we can flip it to the other side. When we flip it, the other side doesn't take long to brown. The chebakia should turn golden brown just like this. Now that the chebakia is ready, transfer it to a strainer. Then we will soak it in honey. We use a strainer to remove any excess oil. Soak the chebakia in honey. Push down to submerge the chebakia in the honey. Soak the chebakia while it's very hot so that it absorbs all the honey. Leave it to absorb for 5 to 6 minutes. Now that the chebakia has absorbed all the honey, we will drain it. After draining the chebakia, we will sprinkle it with sesame seeds. This is the final chebakia. Enjoy!